Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Dr. Jacqueline King, and we are closing Black History out with a bang. My sister, my little sister, my queen sister, my friend, my business partner, my prayer partner, all of that. Cathleen Trigg-Jones. How are you, Kathleen?
I'm amazing, actually. I'm doing really, really well. And thank you for that warm introduction. For the sentiments are mutual. You are my sister in Christ, and also my friend, my business partner. And so it's really an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, it is definitely our honor to have you because I know you're such a busy woman. I tell Kathleen all the time, I don't know how she does it because she'll be in New York one day, then she'll be in Puerto Rico, and she'll be here and she'll be there. But God gives her what she needs to carry out His business. Quick intro: Kathleen Trigg Jones is an Emmy Award-winning journalist, talk show host, producer, and actress who has co-starred in more than a dozen TV shows and films, including Power, Madam Secretary, House of Cards, Homeland, and the Tupac Shakur biopic, Eyes on Me. She is the executive producer and host of the talk show Chic Chat uh, on One Digital, and creator and co-star of the hit docu-series We Are the Joneses, which airs on Discovery Life. She is the founder of iWomanTv. So, welcome, Queen, as we like to address each other. So, Kathleen, you have such a very interesting story. And I'm going to go all the way back because to me, you're so inspirational in that you have overcome so many obstacles to get to where you are. Start off with the beginning.
Wow, we're going way, way back.
Yeah, we got to go way back.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you introduce me the way that you do, when you talk about the accomplishments, sometimes it's actually a reminder to me of how far I've come, and and just a reminder of how amazing God has been in my life, because I can't really explain my successes any other way other than to say that it's so much bigger than me. My life is divine, and I believe I have a divine purpose, a divine calling, and everybody, prays to whoever they pray to. Mine is, I make no mistakes about it. I pray to God, and I'm a Christian, and my Christian upbringing, I believe, is what has kept me out of trouble, kept me focused, and really
Mhm.
kept me continuing to really kept me alive throughout my life. I i don't take for granted a day, because I realize that where I came from, it's only through the grace of God that I could make it to where I've made it today and accomplish every single thing that I've ever set my mind out to do. I was left at an orphanage as a baby, and I was not wanted. I was shuffled between some foster homes. By the time my parents adopted me, it was actually my fifth home that I had been in, and I was only 2 years old. So I can only imagine what my life would have been like had I not gotten out of the system. And I'm really, really sensitive now to those who grew up in the system and who never escaped, never had the angels arrive to rescue them the way that I did. And so, a large part of my journey right now is the give back. It's working with young women and young men, but my focus is really on young women and teaching them what I know. I feel like, in a sense, I don't want to say I'm the chosen one, because it would insinuate that they weren't chosen. But I would just say that for whatever reason, God allowed me to come out of that system. And I believe that the reason is so that I can now reach back and help all the other children who didn't get out of the system and have had a life of being shifted around through foster homes and group homes, and now don't realize or believe that they can be anything they want because of where they came from. I just want to be that testimony that I also came from the same exact thing. And although I didn't spend my entire life in foster care, I certainly feel that same amount of angst and empathy, because I realize I could have. And so I dedicate my life really to helping young people, to show them that it does not matter where you started. It's where you are now. Where are you finishing? Where are you going in life? And you can go anywhere. You can be anywhere. You just got to remember that you have to escape that past and leave it behind you in the back, rear view mirror, because that's where it belongs.
And that's why I love to share your story, because you give so many children hope, who otherwise, like you say, would feel like their life doesn't matter. And you've done so much, even still doing today with Trig's House. Talk a little bit about that.
I started Trig House back in 2006, and it started from my give back. It started from the feeling of gratitude that I had for my family that adopted me. They are my only family that I've ever known. And they gave me two things. They gave me a lot, but the two most critical or crucial things that they gave me was their name, Trig, and their home. And so I named my foundation Trig House. And I want it to be a foundation, a home, a place to call home for other young women that are aging out of foster care and may not have had a family name or a place to call home. And that was really the birth of Trig House. What we've done over the years is we've done mentoring. I bring young women into my production company. I'm based here in New York City, right in Midtown, in my studio right now, actually. And I bring young women here to see where I work. And I go visit them as well. And I take them on shopping trips. Sometimes I've taken them prom dress shopping, or to dinners. And before COVID, I haven't done it since COVID, but before COVID, I brought a busload of kids in the summer to my house in upstate New York, so that they could actually just see how I live. I wanted them, and this might sound kind of corny to some people, but I wanted them to jump in my pool and take advantage of the things that I've been blessed with, and for them to feel like it's their own. And I didn't want to take them to the YMCA or some other place. I specifically always wanted them to come to my house, because I don't really believe it's my house. I believe God blessed me with everything I have so that I can be a blessing to others. So I would bring them to my house, and this busload would show up at my house. And I also had my kids and my husband participate, because I wanted them to see my children. I wanted my children to see where I came from. And I wanted these children to actually be a part of my family. I'm not better than you. I'm one of you, and we're in this together. And this pool you can have too. And this house you can have too. And you can have a family of your own one day, and you can do all the things I've done. So I bring them into my business. I bring them into my house, because you can't dream of something you've never seen. And many kids who came out of the system believe that their destiny is so grim. They don't believe they deserve anything more than what they've been given. And I want to show them, I want to mix that thinking all up. Come and see it for yourself. I started out where you were, and look what I have today, and you can too. What do you dream about? Before you leave here today, we're going to make a full dream. And I want you to open up your mind and really dream. And at the end of this day, we're going to come up with a plan for how you're going to make that dream come true, because it's impossible to make a dream come true if you don't have a dream. So that's what I teach them.
I love that. Do you do vision boards?
So I do my own vision boards. I have not done it with the young people yet, but it is something that I definitely teach. In fact, at the upcoming Water Yourself conference that we're doing together, that is something that I'm really going to encourage the ladies who come to that, is to create a vision board. I created one recently with my one of my girlfriends, Ivana, and it was her birthday party. And we're not kids, but it was incredible to have an art project for her birthday. And it was a table full of just sayings and quotes and visions, really. And we all made a vision board. And I can't tell you how powerful that exercise is. But it does feed back into what I said earlier. It's all about, what do you envision for your life? What do you dream of? And there's this song by Cannonball Adderley and Nancy Wilson, who was one of my absolute favorite, two of my favorites. And it said, you've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how are you going to make a dream come true? And I always remembered that song, and I live my life by it. My entire life is the result of one big dream. When I was 7 years old, I dreamed of being on television. And no one believed in it. Not my parents, not my teachers, not my friends. I grew up in Dover, Delaware, the smallest town on earth, and so far away from Hollywood, so far away from any celebrities. We didn't have a TV station. We didn't have anything of the sorts in my town. But I was in local plays, and I told everybody, I'm going to be on TV and I'm going to live in New York one day. I told everyone that. And it didn't matter that they didn't believe in me. It's not that they were trying to hold me back. They just didn't know it was possible. No one from my town was on TV. How are you going to do that? And what I came from, I grew up in a military family. We weren't rich. I wasn't encouraged to even go to college. But I knew that I wanted to be an actress and I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to live in New York. And I kind of plotted my own course. I found a way to get there, but it all started with having that dream. And I journaled every single day about how the burning desire that was inside of me. It kept me out of trouble. I didn't want anything to be able to, this is how crazy it is. For one, I didn't want people to know my background when I was growing up because that would mess up my pipe dream of being on TV. But I also didn't want to get in trouble because I felt like, well, one day I'm going to actually be on TV and I don't want to end up in the tabloids. And these people around here have no idea where I'm going. I'm going to be on TV. So I've got to make sure that I do the right thing and that I don't have anything. I didn't smoke. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing drugs, none of that. And it wasn't, I did grow up in a very strict Baptist military background. So that was part of it. But my own willpower to not do bad was guided by God and morals and this dream that I carried with me.
I love that. So, the Bible says, speak those things that be not as though they were. So you were speaking yourself into existence. And you also were writing the vision and making it plain. Talk about journaling just for a minute. We might be on for like 3 hours.
Exactly. I can't say enough about journaling. I am a journalist. So I, in all fairness to those of you who are like, where do I start? I write. Writing is my savior. I love to write. It's more difficult to write the older I get and the busier I get because it really does take focus and concentration. But when I was little, I didn't realize that I was actually, I had no idea that what I was actually doing was journaling. I just knew that I was writing a diary. I was a lonely child. I really did suffer from depression as a child, but back then it wasn't diagnosed. I never ever heard of a therapist, went to a therapist or a counselor or anything. It's unheard of now for someone who came through the system to not get some help. Back then we didn't talk about any of that. We never talked about me being adopted. We didn't talk about my mental state or any of that, but I definitely struggled and I didn't feel like the other kids around me. And also my parents were so strict. I couldn't go out and hang out and do the things the other kids were doing. So what I did do is I spent a lot of time alone writing, and I wrote to myself. I actually wrote letters to myself. That was my journal. And it was, I would say, hey, Kathleen, literally, I wrote to myself, hey, Kathleen, today I did such and such. And, I have a crush on this boy, but I don't know if he likes me. I think I'm going to talk to him. And I would pump myself up. I would, ask myself questions, how are you today? And what are you thinking about? And what shows did you watch? Literally, I wrote letters to myself. It was kind of, I don't know what that, it was cathartic. I don't know why I chose to write to myself. But what it also did was it made me fall in love with who I was because I was kind to myself. I didn't need someone else to validate me because I literally was kind of validating myself. I was healing myself through my writing.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I got to college, however, I went to Delaware State College. It was what I could afford in my hometown, HBCU. And I thought it was a bad thing. I never thought that going to the local HBCU was actually going to be a blessing, but it changed my life. It was amazing. It was exactly the school I needed to be at. And when I got there, I had a professor, my English professor, who said, "You are an amazing writer. Have you ever considered journalism, maybe being on the news?" I had never considered the news. I just knew I wanted to be an actress. And that validated my talents for me in a way that no one ever had. I didn't do great in high school, but I got to college and got A's and B's. Suddenly a light bulb went off for me, and I got nothing but accolades and praises when I was there for the first time in my life. And I felt like I could do anything. And I switched my major to journalism, started I started their mass communications program, started their mass communications society, starred in plays at the school, had a radio show, was assistant editor of the newspaper. Things just took off for me. And from that point on, I really never looked back.
Wow, amazing. I'm learning stuff that I didn't know. So how did you get into news anchoring?
So that was it. When I graduated from college, I didn't have a job yet, but I did a lot of internships and I found them on my own. I became very self-motivated. So I can't say enough about internships. If you're listening and you're young, you're in college, or even if you're older, you can do an apprenticeship. But if you're in college, I would really suggest doing internships, because what internships do is they give you a window into another world. They give you an opportunity to learn and grow in a field that you may or may not have considered. I did an internship at a local radio station. I did an internship at a TV station. There was a satellite office for WBOC TV that was in Dover, where the station was located in Maryland. But I went to their satellite office and asked if I could just take the trash out. I just wanted to learn TV.
Oh,
And the news director said, I won't let you take the trash out, but I will give you an internship. You can start hanging out with the reporters and learn. And I latched onto those reporters. I asked them, I had to be the favorite intern because I really paid attention. I carried their equipment for them. I asked questions. I asked if I could do stand-ups when they were done with what they were doing, because I wanted to practice being on camera. They taught me. They really took me under their wing and taught me everything. Doxy McCoy and Claire DeMatteis, who knows where they are. Actually, Claire is now working for President Biden, and we worked with President Biden together. In fact, when I was out of college, but they taught me so much. And from then I realized that that's what I wanted to do. And the other thing I left out is that when I was 19 years old, a sophomore in college, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter. And that was not in my plan. It was not really, I had my plan all kind of worked out, and that was a detour. And it wasn't something expected, and it's something that could have absolutely set me back. But instead, it gave me more drive, because I realized two things. One, I didn't want everyone to be right about me. I came out of foster care. I was an orphan. Everyone expected me to fail, and I didn't want anyone to be right. And the second thing was, this was my very first birth relative that I'd ever known. And I could have certainly decided to have an abortion, but instead, at that point, I wanted to give this little girl everything. And it gave me even more drive than I had before to succeed. I wanted her to see a successful Black woman in front of her who didn't hurt, who didn't fail, who kept striving to do everything that I set out to do. And so I did. With my daughter in tow, I graduated college, went into television for that WBOC TV. That was an internship. It turned into my first TV job. They called me right after I graduated and said, we have a reporter open. We'd love to give you a shot. And from there, I never looked back. I detoured from TV once, and that was only, at the time he was Senator Biden. He's now our president, but he came to me one day and asked me if I would consider coming to work for him. And I didn't want to be in politics, but it was an amazing opportunity. And so I did. I went to work for him for a year. And at the end of that year, I went back to television. I worked in Richmond, then I worked in Norfolk, Virginia. And then in 1998, I moved to New York City and have been here ever since.
You have such an amazing story. One of the things that you said that really resonates with me is the volunteering, because I remember when I started working for Bank of America and I started in collections. Now, anybody know anything about collections? Collections is probably one of the hardest jobs you'll ever have to do. And I knew nothing about collections, but what I did was I studied the top collectors. I watched everything they did, and I became a top collector. So that means a lot, especially as a Black woman. Um, you have to go above and beyond. It's not even an option. You have to put yourself out there. I always say you can't go forward in corporate America if no one knows what you're doing. Is that right?
It's so, so, so true. You do have to put yourself out there. You talked about two different things: the volunteering, and then corporate America, and how you succeed. I believe to whom much is given, much is required. That's biblical. Um,
Mhm.
and so I think when you're trying to succeed in business, but you're not really doing your part to this amazing earth, this world, the people that need you, the humanitarian work that keeps the world going, then I think you'll slowly find that you're not achieving everything. When you give back, the whole universe responds, and it opens up new doors. It opens up new opportunities. People do recognize it, and sometimes people think it's a waste of their time. It's never a waste of your time, even if it just feeds your own soul. It's still an amazing thing, and it's what's required of you. Corporate America is an interesting thing. It's interesting because now finally Black women are are a commodity. We weren't though before. Let's not fool ourselves. This is brand new. When you were starting out and when I was starting out, we weren't exactly invited in the door. They didn't want us there, and they made it really, really difficult for us to succeed there, or even to be there, to survive. We'll call it survival. How about that? It was
Mhm.
not a happy place. I faced an awful lot of racism in corporate America. I worked for almost every network. I didn't work for NBC, but I worked for CBS. I worked for an ABC affiliate. I worked for a UPN, a My Nine, and also Fox. Fox was my last station. It was not an easy road. It really wasn't. The racism that existed in the news industry over the years, and sexism and ageism, all of that exists. It's not the kindest business in the world, not from the executives and not from your coworkers. I can't tell you how many times I had reporters, white reporters, question me, saying things like, what made you want to do this job? You know, you're only here because you're the token Black person, or you're the only Black person. They needed a Black person. I had a theater director in high school that said that to me as well. Like, I had auditioned and got into a summer stock theater program, and he pulled me aside and said, "You know, they only accepted you because you're Black, and they needed a Black face. You're going to have to work really hard, to get better." And it was devastating every time I heard them. I had a news director in Richmond, Virginia, a white woman, say to me in my contract negotiations, "Has anyone ever told you that you have a speech impediment?" I was like,
Mm.
"No, actually, I've always heard the opposite, that I was, very proper." And, "What do you mean exactly?" And she said, "Well, you may want to get it checked it out. It's this something with your S's, or something like that," she said. And I remember being devastated and thinking, wow, something's wrong with me. And then I got to New York, and New York is a difficult market. It's the number one news market in the world. And I became a news anchor pretty quickly there. And I definitely had a lot of people that questioned my talent, questioned why I was there. And just those little subliminal things that
Mhm.
make you question yourself. It was not an easy road to the top, but what I tried to do is stay focused on what I really wanted. I left news because of a lot of that. I just didn't love it. I felt like there has to be a better way. I want to create my own. I want to create a production company and launch my own network. I dreamed of having my own network since I was very, very young, probably around 10 or 11 years old. Didn't even know it was possible. Oprah didn't exist at the time, but I thought I was going to have my own TV channel. And lo and behold, here I am. I launched iWomanTv. But that was really birthed because of all of the negativity that I faced in news. And I wanted to create an environment where women could thrive, survive, and flourish by creating our own content. And that Black people had an opportunity to have our voices heard the way that it's supposed to be heard. That women could be heralded, that we could be the strong beings that we deserve to be. not what was been written about us in mainstream TV. And fast forward, we're finally in a world where it's all kind of coming together. There's now a collusion, um, in a positive way to lift up Black women. It may not last, but right now we're at least looked up upon.
And we're going to make sure that it lasts. You and I believe, I'd like to say that God brought us together because we're doing the same thing. We are lifting up Black and brown women. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about iWoman TV. I know it seems like this time just flew by.
I
Uh,
know. But you get me started, and
I know.
yeah.
Talk about iWoman TV, and I'm thankful that we are connected. Black Women Empowered, iWoman TV. We're getting ready to take the world by storm. So,
Man,
talk a little bit about iWoman TV.
I'm so excited about iWoman TV. I have 4 children, 3 that I've given birth to, and 1 that I inherited through love. And I feel in a sense like iWoman TV is my 5th child. I'm giving birth to a movement. I'm giving birth to a dream, to something that I've dreamed of since I was a little girl. iWoman TV is a network that I launched in 2019, created by women, about women, for everyone. And the goal behind it is, again, to create a platform and distribution for female content globally that moves women in an upward position, that promotes us, that lifts us up. I always say, a lot of people, I've faced a lot of competition in the TV business over the years. Can you get in the door at the networks? And once you get in the door, will they buy your content? Will they believe in your shows? Will they green light, this project that you bring to them? And what I say about iWoman TV is it's not a place for cutting each other down. It's not a cutthroat environment. I want women to flourish. I want the positive content. I want to be able to tell our stories. I want content that women have taken the time to put their energy, their resources behind in creating. And my goal is to get as much distribution as we possibly can for that content. So what we're doing is we're bringing iWoman to multiple platforms. We just launched on Pizzazz in Europe. That's a million households in Europe. We are on Roku. We're on Fire. We're also on iWoman.tv. You can check us out. We're looking for content. We're looking for content creators. We're looking for talent. And we're going linear this year. Linear means we're going on TV. There's Bravo, there's Lifetime, there's iWoman TV. So it's incredible. We need content, and all the content creators need distribution. So to me, I see it as a perfect synergy between talented women, creative women, and a platform that welcomes them.
And how can they advertise or submit content, or how does it work, Kathleen?
Yep. So you can reach out to us. You can go to info@iwoman.tv or just visit our website, iwoman.tv. There's a little submit button on there where you can submit ideas, submit content. If you have a show or an idea that you want to launch, you can reach out to us. We're willing and able to listen to your pitch. And if we're able to take it on iWoman TV, we will. But I also own a production company. So we help create content. We help create branded content, commercials, movies, TV shows, documentaries. And we also have a vehicle to be able to pitch that content to other networks. So I'm not holding anyone back from flourishing and being in everywhere that they possibly can. I've come on as an executive producer to help many people get their projects greenlit at other channels, other networks around the world. So if it's a project that is fit for iWoman, amazing, but it might be a project that's better for Bravo or for BET or for one of the other or one of the other channels, Crackled or somewhere else. And so I want to hear all of that. My goal really is to be a blessing to others, to figure out how I can use my talent, my connections, my resources to help lift women up. And again, it took some angels to get me to where I am today. And if I can be an angel or a blessing in other people's lives, that's what I want to be.
And they can advertise there too, right?
You can advertise on iWoman as well. The other thing is we have the iWoman Report. And the iWoman Report is a show that I host every week. And it's a show that gives me an opportunity to promote female businesses, women who are doing amazing things. Your business might be you. You might be an expert, a psychologist, or a therapist, or a businesswoman, a financial expert. So if that's what you are, pitch yourself to iWoman. We'd love to try to bring you on and interview you and promote you on our platform. We're also really excited to be launching BWE-TV, Black Women Empowered TV, on iWoman this year. So Dr. Jacqueline and I are working on what that's going to look like. But I wanted to create a special lane for Black women because we're different. We think different and we need support differently. And so I don't want to iWoman is a diverse platform. Everyone's welcome. We have Hispanic programming, some Asian content creators, LGBTQ, and we also have our Black women. But because I'm a Black woman and I share that Black experience, and so I wanted to create this lane where Black women feel supported, empowered, and heard. And so we'll be really excited to share more about BWE TV in the coming month.
This is great. So we're going to close out talking about Water Yourself Conference. If you haven't heard, Cathleen is our keynote speaker. Everybody is excited to meet you in person and virtually. What are you going to be sharing, Cathleen?
Oh, I'm going to be dropping all kinds of dimes. A little bit of what you already heard. I'm going to talk about my personal story, how I got to where I am, and really the importance of watering yourself. I can't stress it enough and emphasize it enough. You know my routine, but I have a routine. I didn't always have a routine. I really struggled. I struggled my way to success. If I wrote a book right now, it'd probably be called Failing Your Way to Success, because that's really what I feel like I did. And I'm working on the book as well. But we're going to talk a little bit about affirmations and why it's really important to be kind to yourself and to have a routine that supports healing and success, because the world is really challenging out there today, and we're fooling ourselves if we think we can just do this all on our own. Every day's a battle, and how you fight that battle really, in my opinion, depends on how you wake up every morning, how you go into the battle. Are you equipped with your battle gear, or are you just waking up, jumping out of bed and running right into the fire? What fireman have you ever seen that does that? Or what war have you ever seen that was won by people not having armor on? But yet sometimes we wake up and just run right into the battle. It's impossible to run into that battlefield without equipping yourself with the proper armor. And that's what I'm going to talk about.
I am so excited. Go to wateryourselfconference.com. You can go to Black Women Empowered on LinkedIn. We have an event page. We have one on Facebook. You can register. Don't wait. We only have like a week. I don't know, a week and a half.
Yeah, it's next week.
It's next week. So look, I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. So
next week in Connecticut. So we have a VIP reception. So Dr. King is going to be speaking. I'll be speaking. You'll hear from Shannon Malkin Daniels, who wrote the book Water Yourself, which is incredible. Pick up a copy because it really is worth reading. It's an easy read also, but read the book and then come with your questions. Come with whatever those hurdles are. Let's work through it together. That's what we want.
And that's what we do. Sisterhood. We're there and we'll be supporting each other. You're going to meet some amazing women and be empowered by some other speakers. So it's going to be a great time. Whether you go virtually or you come in person, we want to see you there. Kathleen, you have been amazing as always. I thank you so much for this time. And closing out BWE's Black History Month, we actually, all of the wonderful men and women who have come on Black, we will air them all again. So in case you missed it, but thank you so much. You know, I love you. And
I love you back. Thank you so much for making time for me as well. And make sure you all follow me at iWoman.tv.
And no, she's also on TikTok. She's on Twitter. She's on Instagram, and she's on Facebook. And iWomanTv is all on those sites too. Yeah. So you can follow iWomanTv and Cathleen Trigg-Jones on all of those platforms. God bless, and thank you for tuning in.